The BBC News Komla Dumo Award is about excellent journalism. It's about finding that talent on the continent that can help us tell the African story wholly and widely.
African journalists should enter this award because it's a great opportunity to make yourself better as a journalist and to grow your career.
The winner of this award gets an opportunity to come and spend 3 months in London and work with some of the world's best journalists. This is the stage that would elevate their journalism.
My scripting has improved. My interviewing skills have become better.
Any journalist worth their salt should be applying for this award.
My whole idea of storytelling has been turned on its head.
And it widens your scope of understanding of profound journalism and how else you can tell African stories.
Whatever it is that you have may be what the BBC is looking for. You need to take this opportunity seriously and apply.
For more details on how to apply, please visit bbc.com/Komla Dumo.
You're live with Lucy Hockings on BBC World News. Germany continues to resist sending battle tanks to Ukraine. The Defence Minister saying there was no disunity amongst allies and that NATO must not become a party to the war in Ukraine. We report from inside Afghanistan, where the Taliban continue to crack down on the rights of women. California police arrest a suspected gunman after another mass shooting at 2 locations in the coastal city of Half Moon Bay. The German Defence Minister Boris Pistorius has denied that his country is isolated within NATO as it continues to resist sending battle tanks to Ukraine. He was speaking during a press conference a short time ago with the NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg in Berlin. Mr. Pistorius said he expected a decision on the delivery of Leopard 2 tanks soon and said that NATO members were coordinating the deployment of the tanks and should begin the training of Ukrainian soldiers in their use. Mr. Stoltenberg said this was a pivotal moment for Ukraine. Let's take you to Afghanistan, where the Taliban government continues to crack down on the rights of women and girls. Women have been banned from parks, gyms, universities and travelling long distances without a male guardian. Most girls over the age of 12 have been banned from school. With learning against the law, secret schools have been set up, but running these is becoming increasingly dangerous. Yelda Hakim went to meet some female students who say they're taking matters into their own hands. Yelda Hakim there, who will also be with us throughout the day here on BBC World News. In Ukraine, President Zelensky has said he'll be making changes to the government and security services as part of a renewed crackdown on corruption. The deputy head of the presidential office, Kyrylo Tymoshenko, and deputy defence minister have already announced they're leaving their posts. The deputy prosecutor general has also been removed from his post in the shake-up. Here's James Waterhouse in Kyiv. Uncertain Brexit negotiations over a contested border, a troubled past, debates over sovereignty and trade. Well, it might sound familiar. We're not talking about Northern Ireland, though. It's Gibraltar we're discussing today, not included in the permanent post-Brexit deal, which now governs the UK's relations with the EU. Instead, it has been operating on an ad hoc arrangement ever since. Joe Inwood travelled to the small but significant British overseas territory at a crucial point in talks on a future relationship with Spain. Good to have you with us here on BBC World News. Bye-bye. You're live with Lucy Hockings on BBC World News. A bitter winter kills dozens in Afghanistan. More than 120 people have died as a result of freezing temperatures. And making matters even worse, relief operations are hampered because women are prevented from working for aid agencies.
I'm Yalda Hakim, live from Kabul, Afghanistan. Afghan women and girls continue to be banned from getting an education. They're now looking for an alternative way to learn.
Frustration within NATO grows as Germany continues to resist sending battle tanks to Ukraine. California police arrest a suspected gunman after another mass shooting within 48 hours.
Zhao was taken into custody without incident, and a semi-automatic handgun was located in his vehicle.
And why Turkey's President Erdogan won't support Sweden in its bid to join NATO. In the next half hour, we'll be live in Kabul, Oslo, Kyiv and Stockholm. Let's take you to Afghanistan, where freezing temperatures across the country have killed more than 120 people. And officials say this is the coldest winter in a decade. Several regions are cut off by snow and rescue teams are struggling to reach remote mountainous areas. Relief operations hampered as well by a Taliban edict banning women from working with aid agencies. The Taliban government continuing to crack down on the rights of women and girls. Let's take you straight to Yelda, who joins us now from Kabul. We can see, Yelda, just how cold it is behind you, but give us an idea of how people cope with these freezing temperatures.
Understood. Mikael Ribenvik from the Swedish Migration Agency, Director General of that. Thank you very much for joining us here on the programme. Well, that was a discussion around migration. Of course, today we have a special live page on our website. It's at the usual place, bbc.com/news, where we have a range of different Afghan voices, female voices, who are talking about their daily lives, athletes, members of civil society, women who worked, women who had all sorts of careers, are giving us a sense of what life is now like for them with these restrictions imposed by the de facto authorities. So do go there for us. Lucy, back to you in the studio.
Yeah, Yelda, so moving to read some of those accounts on the live page and to hear from you as well. We'll see you again soon. Yelda with us throughout the day here on BBC World News. The German Defence Minister Boris Pistorius has denied that his country is isolated within NATO and is continuing to resist sending battle tanks to Ukraine. He was speaking during a press conference with the NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg in Berlin. Mr Pistorius saying he expected a decision on the delivery of Leopard 2 tanks soon and said that NATO members were coordinating the deployment of the tanks and should begin the training of Ukrainian soldiers and their use. He said it was a pivotal moment for Ukraine. Indeed, James, good to see you. James Waterhouse joining us there live in Kyiv. You're live with Lucy Hockings. Still to come, California police arrest a suspected gunman after another mass shooting within 48 hours. We'll also take you live to Stockholm for the latest on Turkey's row with Sweden over its NATO membership. You're live with Lucy Hockings. 2 days after 11 people were shot dead by a gunman near LA, there's been a new deadly gun attack in California. 7 people have been killed at 2 farms near Half Moon Bay, which is south of San Francisco. We can see the suspect actually being pinned to the ground. Here he is. And then shortly after this, he was taken into custody. There was no further incident after he was found in his car. Paul, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us with that perspective there from Stockholm. I just want to direct you to the BBC website, bbc.com/news. We have a live page up and running. Now, we often do when there's a big breaking news story, but we're treating this live page slightly differently today because since the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan in 2021, women's lives have fundamentally changed. And today, on the website and across the day here on BBC World News. We are hearing from women in their own words, telling us just how radically their lives have changed, what they're experiencing, what they're feeling, what their daily lives are like under the rules set by this incredibly ultra-conservative government. So Yelda will be with us again in an hour. There's the website there for you as well. Some amazing stories coming to us. I do urge you to log on and take a look. You're live with Lucy Hockings on BBC World News. A bitter winter kills dozens in Afghanistan. More than 120 people have died as a result of freezing temperatures. Making matters even worse, relief operations are hampered because women are prevented from working for aid agencies.
I'm Yalda Hakim, live from Kabul, Afghanistan. Afghan girls remain banned from going to school, but they say they remain defiant and have been attending secret schools.
Too slow, too late, too hesitant. Frustration from NATO countries as Germany resists sending battle tanks to Ukraine. California police arrest a suspected gunman after a second mass shooting within 48 hours.
Zhao was taken into custody without incident, and a semi-automatic handgun was located in his vehicle.
And why Turkey's President Erdogan won't support Sweden in its bid to join NATO. In the programme, we'll be live in Kabul, Berlin, Islamabad and Half Moon Bay, California. Let's take you to Afghanistan, where freezing temperatures across the country have killed more than 120 people. Officials say this is the coldest winter in a decade. Several regions are cut off by snow and rescue teams are struggling to reach remote mountainous areas. Relief operations have been hampered by a Taliban edict that bans women from working with aid agencies. And the Taliban government also continuing their crackdown on the rights of women and girls. So much to discuss with Yelda, who joins us now live from Kabul. Yelda, we can clearly see how cold it is there just from the backdrop behind you. But how is this affecting everyone's life, just coping with this bitter cold?
Now, throughout the day here on the programme and on BBC World News, Lucy, we are looking at the lives of ordinary Afghan women, a range of women across the country and how their lives have actually changed. You can find those stories on our website. It's on a special live page at the usual place, bbc.com/news. They're giving us a sense of what life is now like for them since those restrictions. Women, like I said, from civil society, journalists, activists, athletes, and just really how the situation has dramatically transformed for them. But much more coming up throughout the day and on the programme a little later. Lucy, back to you.
Yeah, we'll see you very shortly, Yelda, and really wonderful reading some of those accounts on the live page as well. Incredibly moving. Do log on and take a look. Yelda, see you soon. Thank you. Poland says it has now officially requested approval from Germany to send German-made Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. Berlin saying the request will now be reviewed with due urgency and in accordance with German export guidelines. Meanwhile, the Defence Minister has denied that Germany is isolated within NATO as it resists sending the tanks. Boris Pistorius has been speaking at a press conference with the NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg. You're live with Lucy Hockings. Still to come. California police arrest a suspected gunman after another mass shooting within 48 hours. And why Turkey's lack of support could scupper Sweden's bid for NATO membership. You're live with Lucy Hockings. 2 days after 11 people were shot dead by a gunman near Los Angeles, there has been a new deadly gun attack in California. 7 people were killed at 2 farms near Half Moon Bay, which is south of San Francisco. We can see here the suspect. He was in his car, then he was taken out and pinned to the ground. Then taken into custody. Now, we understand there was no further incident after this, but he has been identified as Zhao Chunli, a 67-year-old man who worked at one of the locations where the shootings took place. Let's show you some pictures now of a big iceberg. Now, it is roughly the size of Greater London. It has broken away from Antarctica, close to Britain's Haley Research Centre, and there are sensors on the surface of the Brunt ice shelf, and they've confirmed the split late on Sunday. 21 staff are there at Haley. They maintain the base and operate its scientific instruments. Fortunately, they are not in any danger. They're continuing with their work. They are due to be picked up early next month. But dramatic scenes with this big iceberg the size of Greater London breaking away from Antarctica. Stay with us. We'll be back live in Kabul in the next few minutes. You're live with Lucy Hockings on BBC World News. A bitter winter kills dozens in Afghanistan. More than 120 people have died as a result of freezing temperatures. And making matters even worse, relief operations are hampered because women are prevented from working for aid agencies. We have an exclusive interview with the Taliban.
We don't see any problem if you don't deal directly with women, because our main concern is the family.
The lights come back on again in Pakistan as power is partially restored 24 hours after the worst outage in months. California police arrest a suspected gunman after a second mass shooting within 48 hours. In the next half hour, we'll take you live to Kabul, Islamabad and California. In Afghanistan, the Taliban authorities continue to face international condemnation over their treatment of women and girls. It's been a month since they announced a ban on female students attending universities. It's still unclear if or when the students will be able to return. Let's take you back to Yelda, who joins us again from Kabul. And Yelda, before we talk about girls' education, let's discuss the cold just a little bit more. We've been talking all day about our special live page up and running on the website, where we're hearing women's stories, but we're also hearing from families there who seem they have a choice some days. We can either buy fuel or buy food. I mean, it's devastating for so many.
Well, as you've been reporting, Lucy, all day today, we have a special live page focused and dedicated to Afghan women who have been telling us their stories, what life has been like for them since the Taliban takeover. It's at the usual place, bbc.com/news. Have a look. Some really fascinating as well as heartbreaking stories of how women in this country and girls are coping with the restrictions. Lucy, back to you.
Yelda, really good to see you. You'll be back with a special programme shortly. Thank you so much for joining us from Kabul. Yelda here with us throughout the day. And we just discussed with Yelda at the very beginning about the freezing cold in Afghanistan, the fact that wood, coal and fuel prices are so high. There's also sometimes only about half an hour of electricity a day in Afghanistan. But we're going to look now at what is happening in neighbouring Pakistan. They've had a big issue with electricity there as well. We are hearing it has been partially restored across the country, 24 hours after the worst power outage they've had there in months, leaving tens of millions of people without power for hours. It is notorious, Pakistan, for problems with its electricity network, often blamed on ageing infrastructure, mismanagement and a lack of resources. Straight to Islamabad then, let's join our correspondent there, Sahar Balak, who is there. Sahar, what is the situation at the moment? Is there power across the country?
Saying that
Well, I'm not entirely sure whether this is actually a problem with the electricity supply that we're getting to Islamabad, but as you can tell, we're having problems hearing Sahar just explaining there just the difficulties of everyday life when you don't have power, when you don't have electricity, and a huge amount of criticism there of the government, the fact that the infrastructure has not been fixed when it's been a problem for years. Do stay with us here on BBC World News, still to come. California police arrest a suspected gunman after another mass shooting within 48 hours. We'll take you live to Half Moon Bay. Poland says it has now officially requested approval from Germany to send Leopard 2 battle tanks to Ukraine. Berlin has to grant permission for any German-made tanks to be exported, now even if they are owned by other countries. Poland's move is going to increase further the pressure on German Chancellor Olaf Scholz to make a decision on whether to allow it. Well, Norbert Roschkin is a German MP from the Christian Democratic Union Party, and he told me he doesn't know why Chancellor Scholz is dragging his feet. Plenty more coming up from Afghanistan. Yelda will be back as well with a special programme. And don't forget, we keep talking about the website, but it really is worth dipping in to the live page where we are just bringing together women's experiences in Afghanistan, the things that they have been going through, their fears and their hopes for the future too, what they really hope will change. Do log on and take a look, and I'll be back with you tomorrow. Bye-bye.